Well, good morning, Mommy. I think I see something peeking out underneath you there. Let me see. Pretty sure I saw a little... There's a little buddy. Hi, good morning. Welcome to the world, little buddy. You got a baby. You finally did it. Is there more than one under you? Oh, let me check this side. Oh, you're such a good mommy. Oh, there's an eggshell here. Looks like somebody hatched out of that one. Anybody else under there? Not so far. Oh, there's another one. That one dropped right underneath your wing. Where'd that one go? Oh my goodness. Can I pick this one up? Oh my goodness. Hi. Oh my gosh. How cute is that? Okay, I'll leave you alone. It's time to come and measure all these pieces of the chicken coop that I started a couple of years ago, because we need to put it together, because this is where the chicks are going to go after they leave the garage. And while I'm doing all the measuring, I have a helper in here. It's a weed eater helper, and she's going to help me clear the area. Hey Lily, you doing a good job? Oh, yum, yum. Because I have to start building the base. So 49 by 48. Now isn't that a ridiculous size? The measurements are quite weird. That one's 48. Now I'm sure that there's a reason why they're kind of weird. Oh, that one's 48 by 48. It probably had to do with what kind of wood I had, because I like to reuse wood and reuse old wood and not have to keep buying new things. So that side is 48 tall, and this side is 47 and a half. So I'm pretty sure this must have shrunk because, well, maybe I mismeasured. Well, no, it probably just shrunk. Okay, Lily, are you making any headway? Because I'm not. Oh, I can barely see you in the trees, but looks like you're enjoying yourself. So roosters don't actually fertilize an egg. They deliver a package, kind of, that sits in the hen and can fertilize eggs for up to 4 weeks. And it goes pretty quickly. The rooster looks around for a hen that he wants to mate with, and he'll do a little dance or make some clucking noises and wait for her to squat down. If she doesn't, he'll just climb on, grab her head feathers with his beak and hold on with his legs, and they'll touch bums. And he'll give her a package of sperm, which will be stored in her oviduct, and that can fertilize eggs for up to the next 4 weeks. So we'll use this great poster again that the goats ate, just quickly. So the cloaca is right there where they touch bums, and this is where the sperm will hang out in the oviduct. And as the yolks come out of here, out of the ovary, and travel into the oviduct, that's where the sperm will meet the yolk, and that is how the egg becomes fertilized in that area right there. Then it continues to develop, and we already know how it comes out. So here we have a couple of dozen eggs that we collected in the last 2 days that have been stored in a cool garage. And we haven't washed them yet because we didn't need any eggs to eat yet. And we don't wash the eggs until we're ready to eat them. And the reason is because eggs are laid with a very special coating on them called a bloom. And it's kind of like best example is an antibacterial coating that helps seal up the pores on the egg so no bacteria can get into it and rot the egg. And so there's no point in washing off that coating until you're ready to eat the egg. So until you're ready to eat the egg, we leave them in the garage in the cool with the bloom on it. But now we want to eat some eggs, so we are going to wash them. Warm water. So we don't want hot and we don't want cold. We definitely don't want cold, because washing your eggs in cold water the bacteria will actually suck back into the egg. So you just want warm water and a temperature that is warmer than the actual egg. So I'm going to take my first egg, and I'm just going to lightly, just using my fingers, just kind of scrub. And then I'm going to just take it, put it in the strainer, and let the water drip off. And then I'm going to take my next egg, and I'm going to do the same thing. Most of these eggs are pretty clean, but they still need to have a little bit of a rinse. And I'm actually rinsing with any surface dirt. I'm actually rinsing off that bloom as well. So after we wash the eggs and after they dry, they're going to need to stay in the fridge, because now that protective bloom is gone and there's nothing protecting the egg anymore except for, well, just the shell, but remember the shell is porous. Now if you have a really soiled egg like this one here, that's really dirty. So I'm going to clean it like I clean the others. Oh, but look at that. Look what happened. That was a really weak shelled egg, and with just a little tiny bit of pressure, it just cracked right open, which is just fine because that egg was too dirty to eat anyway. So we'll keep washing. So hopefully the oyster shells that we're feeding back to the chickens now is going to help with that weak shell. Okay, so we washed all the eggs and we allowed them to dry in the strainer, and now we're going to package them up. And we like to have a rainbow in each package, so we're going to try to pick one of every color. Because it's kind of nice to open up your eggs and find a rainbow inside. Like that. All right, well, the chicks are just about to hatch. Well, we've actually already had some hatch and we're not ready. So that's why it's so important to have everything ready and on hand. So chicks cannot eat regular chicken food, so we had to go out and buy a special chick crumble, and it's a 22% protein. So that gives the chicks what they need to get a good start. They're going to need access to fresh water, and we use this kind of a watering dish, but we always put rocks in the bottom of the dish for the first couple days, all the way around. And we do that because sometimes chicks throw themselves in the water. We don't know exactly why that is, but we don't want any of them to drown. So if you put rocks in the water, then their beaks can still get to the water, but they won't drown. And then for a food container, we use this type of a lid, which is kind of like a yogurt or an ice cream container lid. We use that for the first couple days because the lip is very small and they have tiny little chick legs. They can't get over anything bigger than that. And we just put the food in the lid like that. And then as soon as they've figured that out and they're a little bit more solid on their legs, then we move to this type of a container, and we can just, the food goes in the top, and then it's just usually hung, and as they move it, the food becomes available to them. But you can see that's quite high, and for tiny little baby chick legs, they can't get over that. So until maybe a week old, we stick with kind of the lid. So Benji, do you approve? You think we're ready? We got everything we need? Okay, the chicks can hatch now. We just came to check on the mummy chicken, and look what's happened. Other chickens have been laying underneath her, even though she's in her own little cage in her own little area. So now we're going to have to candle all these eggs tonight and see which ones are developing. I feel so bad for her. She's trying so hard to be a mom. So the least we can do is try to help her out and move her one more time. Okay, so this is try number 3 with this chicken. Now, even though this is a 21-day chick hatching adventure, it's actually 22 days, it's filmed over a much longer period. So I'm very concerned about her health at this point because she's been sitting on eggs for probably 35 to 40 days now, and she's lost weight, and her comb is pale, you can see. And I really want to give her one more opportunity to have babies, but it's just not working in here. So I've made her another new bed here. I'm going to move her and her eggs in broad daylight, which is not the best idea, but I've got to do it. And I'm moving her to another coop altogether. And hopefully, once and for all, this will give her what she needs to have babies. Okay, we're halfway there. Just a little bit more to go. All right, I give up. There used to be a nice garden here, but the dogs are using it as the puppy highway up over the rock and around there. So I'm going to build them some guardrails on their puppy highway so they stay out of the garden. We need to have a little talk. Do you see that sign? The puppy highway? I built you a fence so you don't have to go in the garden anymore. So I want you to try the puppy highway. Okay, that's the highway. That's the one you have to use. Go on, up the puppy highway. There you go. See? Now your turn, Benji. Come on. There you go. Up the highway and right up. Okay. Well, you got the idea, right? Okay. Well, we figured it out. So we know how to get up and down, so we don't need to go in the garden anymore, right? Holy cow, it works. Well, this is certainly not the ideal time to move a mum, but as you can see, there's already a little set of a set of legs out there, and she has already hatched 3 babies. Here are the shells. One was hatching just when we lifted her up. Okay, it's super dark. I can't see anything, but I'm just putting her to bed, and I heard a squeak. So I'm going to check in the morning, but it looks like she got babies. Good job, sweetie. You worked so hard at them. Okay, so yesterday we heard some cheeping, which means that this little beak would have pipped through this white stuff, which is the membrane, into the air pocket, which is this part, which we could see in the egg when we were candling it. And that's why we could hear it cheeping, because when it's inside the membrane still, it's still all moist. You wouldn't have heard it cheep, but it must have poked through this membrane, pipped. It's called an internal pip, and it must have been just hanging out in the shell, and that's why we could hear it. So the next step is it's going to pip with its little egg tooth, which is on the end of its beak, through the shell. And then after that, it's going to do something called zip. And this is what the zip looks like. So here you can see the little egg tooth, that little bump on the end of the chick's beak. And the zip part is when they basically take their beak and they poke little holes all the way around the egg. You can see it almost looks like a zipper. She's going to go all the way around the egg, and once she's done that, she's going to use her little legs to push herself out of the egg. So we're going to go see what happened overnight. Well, here we have somebody trying to hatch, and it's early. It's really early because today is supposed to be day 19, but I think we figured out last night that I must have made a mistake with my dates, because when I went to turn the chicks and put the water in, I heard a cheep, and I'm guessing that this is what I heard. So you can see that this little guy is trying to hatch, which is pretty exciting. At the end of their beak, they have a little, well, it's called an egg tooth, but it's basically a sharp little piece at the end of their beak. And that is how they first crack open the egg. And they make the little hole, and then they take some outside air, and that's after getting into the air cell inside their egg. And then they usually do, so that's called pipping. And the next thing they do is called zipping. And what they do is they take their little beak and they usually poke a line along the egg, all around the egg sometimes, and just kind of pop out. But every chick does it a little bit differently. And this one looks like it's been pecking in a couple of different areas, but it hasn't quite, they haven't joined the little spots yet. So it also, unfortunately, looks quite dry in there. You can see the white, you can see the blue egg, but you can see the little white bit, and that's the inside membrane, the membrane that sits just inside of the eggshell, and it's quite white and it's quite dry, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Well, no, it's not a good thing. And I may open that incubator up and put a little bit more water in, because they need that membrane to be moist in order to hatch properly. Okay, so I've wet a small hand towel and with warm water, and I placed it on top of the incubator, and I'm going to try to reduce the amount of moisture that comes out of the incubator when I open it, because I do need to get some more water in there. So I'm going to try my best to limit the amount of moisture that comes out as I add this water. Okay, that should be enough. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here, and I'm going to add a little bit of water, and I've got the towel on here I'm just going to lift up the corner really quickly. Now you might think that I'm overreacting here, but actually this is probably the biggest mistake people make when they're hatching chicks, is opening the incubator up while the chicks are hatching. And even though I've done it a number of times, I've also made a lot of mistakes by opening it up. And you know, all the work that we've done and all the time that we've spent, and you know, not to mention the cost of all those hatching eggs, that in about 5 seconds you could pretty much, well, ruin your hatch by just opening the incubator at the wrong time. So I'm hoping that that cloth was able to keep most of the moisture in, and that it's not going to affect the chicks hatching. Let's see. So it won't make a difference, really much of a difference, on the ones that were already starting to hatch, but hopefully it'll make a difference for the, oh my goodness. You know what, that was maybe 30 seconds, and look at that, he got out. And you can, I don't know if you can see, I think that you can see he's actually quite wet. So that's perfect. He's not yucky wet, but he's moist. And when they're moist, they can come out quite easily. And so hatching is very, very hard work. We're gonna tap on the incubator lid, kind of to cheer him on, but it's exhausting for the chicks. So he's probably gonna have a little bit of a sleep now. As soon as he gets out of that shell. I'm going to tap on the incubator lid one more time. And you can bet that the other chicks in there are probably calling to him, and he's probably calling to the others, and ask them to come out and play. Because in a few minutes, when he recovers and he's all running around, he's going to want some friends. Hey buddy, good job. That was sure fast. Sometimes that can take 24 hours or even a day and a half. I can't wait to see who hatches tonight. Make sure to check back tomorrow for day 20.